right, have and have not fans. Now, this video is one people have been wanting me to do for a while. Not so much in the same level of I want it now as the ranking every season, but this is talking about season 7, the season for 2020. And yes, I know we're getting season 8 in a couple of weeks, but we didn't know that until just recently after the finale aired. So I'll officially call season 7 the season of 2020, considering it's a season we're getting in its entirety this year. And season 7 has been almost as terrible as 2020 as a whole. But this video is just kind of giving my thoughts on why this season wasn't received that well. And yes, I'm well aware some people watch the show to watch it. There aren't people who dissect every single detail like myself and so many others, as well as people who watch the channel. There are those who just watch the show to watch it. There are those who just watch my video to get my insight. There are those who say, I don't really watch the show anymore, I just watch your videos, or I watch both, but your videos are more entertaining, and the list goes on. So everybody has a different perspective. So if you disagree with me in any way, by all means, that's acceptable. Just don't be a douche about it in the comment section below. I just feel like overall this season, when you really think about it, I would say season 7 accomplished the least amount of any season so far. And I challenge you to challenge me, because maybe you'll have insight that I don't. I mean, I just feel like overall this season had a lot to live up to, and it really didn't at all. I mean, that's how I feel. So with that being said, let's just jump into the usual, promotion here. If you can go ahead and like the video, I'd appreciate it. So hit the thumbs up button, click that subscribe button. We are closing in on 150,000 subscribers. Also, hit the bell icon and turn on notifications, because we're still only like 15% of people who have actually done it. Long story short, a huge majority, over 3/4 of my views, come from non-subscribers. So if you are subscribed to the channel and you turn on the notifications, you know when I post content and you can watch it when I post it. And finally, follow me on my social media. Links are in the description below. So I jotted down about 5 different components of why I feel this season was the worst one. And if there are things in the video I don't mention, feel free to let me know in the comment section below, because this is really like me giving my thoughts, and then the comment section is an expansion of that. And I'll come back and read the comments. Hopefully we get a good amount of them. So let's kind of just break it down here. Season 7 began on January the 7th, and it ran until March the 10th, the first 10 episodes. Are You Happy, Fleeting Moments, Pray to Me, Evil Offspring, Jimmy Crack Corn, oh, the most controversial one here, Mr. Jim, Change of Heart, The Heavy Lifting, Boom Boom Bang, and Bananas Foster. First impressions, not impressed. I definitely feel like some of the most damning things were, well, honestly, you know what? I think I skipped over something. What I should have done was broke the categories down. I apologize. I jotted down 5 categories: acting, pacing, hype, in regards to the hype surrounding the season, the characters, and how this season got chopped up. This season was hyped up for a couple of reasons. Number one, this was the first time in haves and have not history that us as fans had to wait 6 months between the ending of one season and the beginning of another, or even like the mid-season break to the back half of a season. Show Not Tell, the season 6 finale, episode 9, aired July 2nd, 2019. And we had to wait 6 months. I'll never forget when the screen went black, the haves and the have-nots will return in 2020. People lost their ever-loving minds. And it was being promoted as the deadliest season ever. So yeah, we're talking about the first category here, hype. The fact that the deadliest season ever was coming. I mean, speculation was at an all-time high. I mean, originally, this was supposed to be the final season, season 7, the season to end all seasons, from Tyler Lepley to Tyler Perry to, and I remember I did like a compilation video of like the various characters and whatnot in different interviews. Like Tyler Lepley was, or Benny Young, he was in an interview for I think it was a TV1 movie he was in, and he talked about how, oh yeah, there's going to be a lot of death. It's like if the show, let me put it this way, if this show was like a cat, it would be on its ninth life. Like, there's going to be a lot of death in it. Is it the final season? Well, you just got to wait and find out. And then Tyler Perry, when he was doing the promo for Nobody's Fool. Yes, I'm talking way back in, shoot, I don't forgot the time frames now. I want to say it was 2018 Nobody's Fool, because again, I could be wrong here, but I think Nobody's Fool came out in 2018, late 2018, because when he was doing that promo tour, he announced Madea was going to die. He was going to kill her off. And then the hype surrounding Madea overshadowed Nobody's Fool in regards to what the media was talking about, because that's right, because Nobody's Fool came out in like October or something. And then the Madea play and everything came out in 2019. And then, that's right. So the deadliest season, like for 6 months, we were waiting on all snap. But even at the halfway point of season 6, like Spanish Moss Trail, like episode 3 and 4, that after Jeffrey was shot by Justin, Gavin did an interview saying, oh yeah, we're doing season 8, possibly even season 9, as much as Tyler and the network want. So at that point, the suspense of season 7 being the final season was kind of up in the air, because it was truly speculated that this was the final one. But then come to find out, oh yeah, OWN had ordered a couple more seasons. So it's like, okay, season 7 isn't the last one, but if it's the deadliest season ever, then who's going to die and who's going to make it out of here alive? So when we talk about the first 10 episodes of the season, we pick up where we left off. You know, we had Wyatt shooting both parents and then he got shot, but then jump to even the beginning of Show Not Tell. You had the group of thugs in David's house shooting the place up as well. So who made it alive after that? So after 6 months of waiting, we go to Are You Happy? And we get some of the worst explanations ever. Catherine was not shot, but she was shot at by Wyatt. She bobbed underwater up and down until she heard the police can't come. I'm not mad about Jim and how the whole quail bullets and everything. Okay, that makes sense, but at least we know he got shot. And then Wyatt got, winged in the shoulder, I guess. But I guess because he was still high off those drugs from RK, he wasn't even in a lot of pain, because he was in the back of the cop car, mouthing all, saying that he killed Amanda. You could argue, Jeremy, we finally found the mystery. And I'm not just saying this as a Amanda fanboy or whatever, but I just don't believe that Wyatt did it. Kind of like the whole Little Lizzie thing. I think one of the guys who tried to take his car hit her, got out, and then when he got in, he did hit Benny. But that's just you can call it headcanon, but I feel like there's enough evidence to suggest why that's bullcrap. But another thing is, this season, the first half really didn't do anything for me, because it felt like we were just back in the status quo. I just felt like there weren't any real consequences for the events that happened during season 6. Yeah, the deadliest season. Though 2 of the thugs that came up in David's house ended up being killed. And then we don't even know if the cop at the police station that Vinny shot in the head was actually dead. Or killed. We saw him being taken on a stretcher to the hospital, but we don't know if he's dead. And then at the end of the season, of course, we have Wyatt, and it's like we don't even know if he's dead. Based on the plot summary for season 8, he is, but I honestly, until we see it in the show and he's declared dead, but no, he's been declared dead before and he was alive, like when he overdosed in the hotel and they said he died, and then David checked and he had a pulse. So it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I mean, unless he's buried or cremated, he's not dead to me. You know what I mean? We'll find out eventually, but I feel like, well, hell, you look at the hype surrounding it. Remember when the back half of the show was coming on? The deadliest season was not used one time. But when the show first came back for those 10 episodes, all right, haves and have not fans, tune in for the next week's episode for the deadliest season. Yeah, they got rid of that. They got rid of that tagline. So I feel like the hype surrounding this show definitely bombed, because it felt frustrating week to week because of the fact that the hype, it certainly didn't live up to the hype. It didn't live up to the hype. And before I move on to the next category, I remember in the months or weeks leading up to the return of the show, I'm like, guys, I'm talking like, late 2019, like, guys, when the show eventually comes back, I'm not going to be the same person I was during season 6. Because remember, 2019 was truly the experimental year for the channel, because I was reviewing so many more shows now. Ambitions, Greenleaf, If Loving You Is Wrong, and not to mention all the Viacom shows like Ruthless and Sisters and The Oval. So I'm like, okay, by the time the Haves and the Have-Nots comes back on the air, I'll have way more experience with the reviews, the perspective of looking at different directors and writers, not to mention on top of that, looking at shows that are well paced, great acting, great writing, and how it compares to the Haves and the Have-Nots. So when 2020 comes around, the gloves are coming off. And when the show came back on, it's like I let it have it because it's season 7. We should not still be looking and complaining at some of the same mistakes that were made 3 seasons ago, because it's no excuse for the bad writing. So when it comes to the pacing, that's going to be the next category, the pacing. This season felt so at a standstill, like nothing happened. I feel like, if nothing else, the main thing was the addition of so many new characters. And I'm not even going to sit up here and try to name them all, because I feel like at the bare minimum, we got somewhere between 15 to 20 plus new characters out of the blue. Like, I remember talking about The Oval and how season 1, like, they just had way too many characters in the show. I feel like Tyler Perry just tried to combat that by, okay, if you think The Oval has a lot, let me see how many I can cram into the Haves and the Have-Nots in the back. And I'm talking about the back half alone. Not even the first 10, not even the entirety of the entire season being 20 episodes. I mean, the back half, the last 10 episodes. I felt like each week we were being introduced to somewhere between 3 to 10 new characters. And, you know, just for the heck of it, I'm just going to try to name off some characters. If I miss any, hey, that's all good. But I'm just trying to show you how ridiculous it is. So I'm just going to name some characters off the top of my head, see what I come up with. I'm going to count Jimmy as a new character because he got aged up like 15 years for no reason. The new Jimmy. Al. Don. John. The officer, is it Morris, whoever got shot, and then the other officer who was kind of like the gopher from Mama Rose, and then the other officer who went to law school with Amanda, but of course, you know, Catherine stopped donating scholarships, so he had to quit and then, you know, start his job at the jail. Then you had Alyssa. Then you have like Colby, Tanner, Terry, his 2 friends. Tanner is Justin's brother. Basically, the other guy, I forgot his name. It was like Harry, Terry. The 2 guys who were with Colby. Then on top of that, you have Rihanna, Sandy's ex-girlfriend, the one who wants him to leave her alone. And you have, I'm trying to get to at least 15. I know there's more. I literally can't think of their names because there were so many. I was going to count Marco, where people tell me he showed up in season 3, so I guess I won't count him. The judge who came over to see Veronica to serve the paperwork to Jim about paying $50,000. And then you also have that one, the white woman who was like a judge or something, who worked at the police station, who David apparently would have had a thing with, but Veronica obviously would have gotten mad. And then you also have no, I don't think I can count that character, no, because Leo actually was in the previous season. Keep in mind, I'm only talking about the second half. I know there are other characters who show up in the first half too. Wait, was Samuel debuted in this season? No, technically, I think he appeared in Show Not Tell. Or, no, he appeared in Bananas Foster. Yeah, 16. Yeah, and Laura. Yeah, there we go. So, about 17 characters off the rip. I had to struggle a little bit, but I think right off the rip, we almost had 20 new characters. I think we had more than 20, but these were the only ones I could think of. So, I feel like the pacing was horrible because so I want to put pacing and characters in the same category because of the fact that we had so many new characters that the main cast just felt like they did nothing. Like Candace was gone for several episodes. Wyatt was gone. Like a bunch of the main characters who for the most part have never missed an episode were gone. like Candace being the most notable one. Jim just stayed in the hospital the entire time. Catherine has been in jail the entire time. David has just been Jim's errand boy, if you will. Hannah has just been, well, she's been dealing with the whole Derek thing, but for the most part, she's just been, well, at the house or at Catherine's or seeing Catherine in jail or at the bar. It's just been weird. Candace, the whole pregnancy thing is like the biggest thing about her character right now. And then Benny has just been looking to kick ass, but he needs his ass kicked. Veronica has just been horny and trying to cause trouble and save her own self from the hood. Wyatt is getting high. Jeffrey has just been a punk this entire season. That's a sad thing, but that's how they write the character. And that's been about it. Not even talking about the other characters like, Charles or Justin or Oliver, Landon. There's so many characters. It's just hard to keep track. Like, I got excited for Jeffrey Owens' character, don't get me wrong, but I feel like at this point, it's like, I honestly don't care about that story arc at all. Because remember, last year, like Kyle was talking about, it was Kyle and Scott talking about how, oh yeah, we're going to kill Candace. And they didn't even appear in these 20 episodes. They just did not appear at all. So the characters themselves just feel boring. Like, yeah, some of them have had their moments, but they're too few and far in between. It was just not good. And then when we talk about the acting, and you all know what I say when it comes to the acting, I try not to talk bad about the actors themselves because guess what? I'm a fan of this show and they're working an opportunity I would love to have, which is to be in at least one episode or one scene of this damn show. But, they're just doing their jobs and they're doing it how Tyler Perry wants it. But for the most part, a lot of the acting feels phoned in. It's like, I think this season has been the worst Candace season ever when it comes to Tinka Sumter's deliveries. Like, it just feels like for the most part, she just stands around with her arms crossed, just kind of reacting. And I remember there was a time where this girl was so good at lying that we knew she was lying, but it felt so convincing as to how Benny or somebody else might believe it. But it's almost like she doesn't even believe her own lies. Now, you can chalk it up to, it isn't the performance, it's just how Candace is now. Like, she isn't the same vindictive, villainous person she was, because even though she's keeping the money, she's going back to that lifestyle, there's something different about her now versus, let's say, season 3 Candace. And to an extent, I agree, but when you look at some of the scenes, like, there is just way too much of, what? Huh? You said this? No, she didn't. It just feels like I don't believe the performances like I used to. That's not to say all the characters are actors like this. It's just like some of the characters, their acting is over exaggerated, their delivery is stiff, and it doesn't seem believable. Like, again, there are some characters who I feel like they kill every scene they're in, like Derek. Like, when he first walked in on Samuel and Laura, that was a side of him we never saw. Like, the little things like his body language, the way he spoke. I think Mama Rose, of course, it was great to see her after such a long time, but the only thing I don't like about her character is how she got written off randomly. Like, it's like, why bring her back if you're just going to write her off like that? Vinny Malone, I don't see a problem with his performance either. Sandy's just a whiny crybaby. It's like him and Mitch, their scenes, I love them because they're hilarious, but sometimes it's like they just go on for far too long, and you can tell it's just dragging out the episode. And aside from the acting, well, no, actually, I got one more part I'll save it for later. I just feel like overall some of the acting it isn't up to par where it used to be. Like, kind of like with House of Pain. We're looking at season 9 now, and I'm like, hey, I challenge you to pick the worst episode that you remember of House of Pain from like seasons 1 through 8. Watch that episode, and I bet it's still better than anything we got in season 9 so far. So with the haves and the have-nots, I challenge you to do the same. Like, I'm just going to throw out a number. Season 2, episode 5. Let me just look at the list, see what episode that is. Again, I'm just like spitballing here. I'm not just telling you to go to this specific episode for a reason, but season 2, episode 5, that was the press conference. Ooh, that was actually a really good one. But yeah, just like go to that one and watch it. And I challenge you that episode is more likely better than anything we saw in season 7. For real. Like, I honestly don't know how I made it through the season. And then we finally get to the last category, which is something I've brought up at least 50 times on this channel. The fact that season 7 was originally supposed to be the final season, but it got cut in half. By that, I mean the 10 episodes we got at the beginning were the 10 episodes we were supposed to get. Kind of like season 5, the first 10 episodes were crap, but then apparently the back half was just so good that it's hard to believe they're a part of the same season. So the back half of season 7 got pushed to the back half of season 8. So That's 20 episodes of random nonsense Tyler Perry had to throw together to expand the story. So it's almost like, the back half of season 7 and the first half of season 8 are just fluff. So you could argue that we won't be able to get back to great have and have not content until the back half of season 8. So chopped up was definitely a reason this season felt so out of place and random, and probably why so many characters are thrown into the mix. But the thing is, when you got so many cooks in the kitchen, you're never going to get anything completed. Like, sure, you might end up cooking a lot of food, but people are going to step on each other, bump into each other. And with so many people working at once, it's very unlikely that the quality is going to be good. Like, if Tyler needed to stretch things out, then I honestly wish that maybe If Loving You Was Wrong did get that season 6. That way, even if it came down to us only getting 20 episodes for season 7 and it will be the end of it, I'd rather take that than have 20 extra episodes of fluff just to get to a good conclusive ending. And who's to say that we won't get season 9? But I'm just talking about as far as what we know has been filmed, that's the season 8. I think that maybe that would have been a benefit, that we got the final conclusive season for If Loving You Was Wrong, and then the deadliest season of the haves and the have-nots. I really feel like that's what we should have gotten instead of what we're getting now, because with so many characters, it's hard to keep track, because sometimes we're just spending time with a character who I honestly don't give a damn about, and they're eating up. So like Justin, I don't like him, but at the same time, it's like they didn't do his character any favors this season. Like, did they try to make us feel something for him, finding out about the way his family treated him since he's been a kid? I mean, that's something that we should have gotten like maybe 3 seasons ago to make him feel somewhat sympathetic, where it doesn't excuse how he's been treating Jeffrey and everything, but at the same time, you kind of understand why he is the way he is. So I do feel like this season definitely suffered a lot. And overall, it really is the worst season of the haves and the have-nots that I've watched. And it's sad. It really is. Because of the fact that season 7, people look at 7 as the lucky number. And to have the show end at what would have been like, I guess if season 7 was truly the 20 episodes it was written to be, then episode 180 would have been the final one. And with the title being called The Reaping, honestly, that would have been a perfect way to end the series, because you reap what you sow has definitely been a theme throughout the entire series. The fact that some of these characters have been planting, seeds of sin, from scamming, blackmailing, affairs, murder, and everything else in between. And then you have characters like Hannah who have been doing the right thing for a majority of the time. So to actually have characters face consequences for their actions, and then whether it be positive or negative, it would have been a great way to wrap things up. Unfortunately, we got 10 episodes of nonsense, and it looks like we're going to get even more in season 8. So I hope this breaks it down for you of why season 7 was the worst season. Like I said before, go back to any other season, even season 6. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was only 9 episodes long. Sure, we were wondering where's the rest of it, but it didn't overstay its welcome, and it honestly had us wanting more. I just feel like what this season truly showed us in season 7 was there weren't a lot of consequences. I feel like, I understand there are episodes that are strictly there for setup, but I just feel like there's just way too much setup. I feel like there was more dragging than setup in season 7. It's like, I understand what they're setting up, but the show's gotten to the point where I feel like sometimes I don't even need to make videos, because more often than not, I'll see people in the comment section of previous videos, people on the Facebook group, people on Twitter, they'll comment like, oh, I think that so-and-so is going to do this. Like, it has been painfully obvious that since Laura first showed up, that Veronica is masquerading her as a body double for the hood, to kill. Like, there have been so many people that have been either predicting or whatnot that my videos feel redundant, but at the same time, they still get a lot of love, hence why I do them. But I just feel like this show doesn't have that same level of intrigue and interest that it used to. Like, it doesn't have that I have to drop everything and watch every week. It has more of a, honestly, the haves and the have-nots is feeling like Supergirl. Like, I remember, like, it felt like a chore to watch the CW shows sometime. Like, oh, I'm ready to watch The Flash, or I'm ready to watch Legends or Black Lightning. But then, like, Arrow and Supergirl, I don't remember the specific seasons, but I remember when the CW was so condensed where, okay, it was Arrow, Flash, Supergirl, and Legends, and that was it. Black Lightning eventually came, but like those were the four. So it felt like a great event to watch those all week, you know? But then, Supergirl got way too political with messages being, shoehorned in our faces. And it felt like more of a chore. So I just quit watching. Not to mention there was that whole thing with the showrunner being fired due to allegations. And there was like such a large gap in between episodes. I'm like, okay, I'm not watching. But then it's like with the haves and the have-nots. It's sad to say, like, the show that really was the foundation of, well, my career. It's gotten to the point that it honestly feels like a chore to watch it. It's sad. It really is. So, I can't wait to do more interviews in the future with cast members, but I don't even know if I want to even talk about season 7. Like, we'll talk about everything else, but I just don't even know how to bring up season 7 in the conversation, because what is there to talk about? Like I said, Jim's been in the hospital the whole time. David has just been a dumbass this entire season. Catherine's been in jail reassuring everyone that she's going to make everybody pay. And then Hannah has just been, well, she's had some good scenes. And then everybody else just feels kind of there. So, I don't know. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What were some redeeming factors about season 7? What you like? Of course, there were some good things like Mama Rose coming back. Seeing my girl Crystal Lee portray a character who I wish they would have taken in a new direction. We had an Erica cameo. Never thought we would have one of those. And honestly, I forgot to mention this earlier when it came to the chopped up and pacing categories. I did like the flashback montages, but I think we got those too much too soon. It felt like, 3 episodes in a row we got them. Like the David and Veronica one, I liked it. It just ate up a lot of time. But I also said that it's funny because the montage reminded us of how good the show used to be. The Justin montage, I didn't mind it. I was like, wow, okay, Tyler Perry's really doing this back-to-back montages. But the most atrocious one was Samuel and Veronica, because they've only had like 2 scenes together. There is not enough footage of these two to warrant a montage. It's stupid. So, yeah, let's hope season 8 can redeem the series, because if season 8 is the final season, as I've been told by some sources, and I'm not saying the sources, if it doesn't get better, then the haves and the have-nots is going to end on a sour note. I dare say that if Loving You Is Wrong's final season, I do feel like the If Loving You Is Wrong final season was better than the season 7 of the haves and the have-nots. So I think overall, it's definitely going to be one for the record books if the final 10 episodes can bring it all home. But I honestly can't say how the show is going to wrap up unless there's some sort of epilogue, because there are just so many damn characters now that, remember, there was a time where people were like, hey, Jeremy, how would you want the show to end? Like, I feel like we all kind of talked about how, a lot of people, I feel like either there should be an entire season or something where it's nothing but court. Like, I know it might be boring, but it would be a great way to wrap things up, where we're seeing George versus Veronica, and then we're talking about like Jennifer Salison, Maggie Day, like all the shit that's been happening in the series would be brought up in the court cases, and secrets would come out, and that would be phenomenal. Now, from an anime perspective, it could be like the Tournament of Power in Dragon Ball Super, where it's like nonstop fighting, which can be boring, but it could be a great cap off for the haves and the have-nots, because we're in court, which is almost like a love letter, because not only will we be revisiting all the crimes and the betrayals of the series, so this entire season could be almost like a, hey, we're going to go all the way back to the beginning and bring it back. Consequences will be dealt out. Storylines will be resolved, and it's like maybe the last episode, or maybe there'll be an epilogue where after all the court cases are taken care of, after everybody has paid for their crimes or whatever, then we'll find out what happened several years later. That's how I think the show should end. But at the pace we're going now, I don't even know if we're going to get there. So I don't know. Hopefully the show can be redeemed. Hopefully the show will get better. But if not, I'll always be thankful for what this show has done for me in my life. But it really is sad to see how low it's gone, because if I am not mistaken, this was the lowest rated season of the show, just based off the charts alone. This was the lowest rated season of the entire series. And I'm looking at the charts on Wikipedia, and I think season 6 did do better ratings wise. Like, the show is still garnering over 1 million views per week, so it's doing well, but in terms of the quality, it just doesn't have that it thing again. It had before. It doesn't have that I need to watch it every week, because people have been saying the same thing. I can miss like 5 episodes, come back and not miss a thing. Jim's still going to be in the hospital bed. Wyatt's still going to try to be getting high. Catherine's still going to be saying, I'm Catherine Cryer. And the list goes on. So, I don't know. Well, yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, guys. If you want to donate to the channel, feel free to do so on PayPal, Cash App, or join Patreon for as little as $1 a month. And I appreciate it. Like, even when my spirit isn't as, you know, I guess you could say energetic as it used to be, because I know Melrose told me like, hey, I was watching one of your early reviews from like a year or so ago, and yeah, you don't sound the same as you used to. I actually went back. I just pulled a random video up from my archives, and yeah, my energy isn't what it used to be. And I want to say I'm sorry, but I honestly cannot fake it. Like, the show doesn't give me that same drive it used to, but I continue talking about it because, well, it gets views and I got bills. So there you go. But again, guys, I do appreciate the constant support, and I am really serious about looking into other shows to review just to give me more of a oomph. But with that being said, thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll talk to you in the next video.